Serious, people of Russia, what is the real situation on the streets and how can we help? Every Sunday there are protests in my city, and my friend was taken to the police station because they thought that he was one of the protesters. At this time it is not safe to leave the house even if necessary. Yep, my mom called me several times and told me not to come near windows or go outside because we had protests near our house. I heard in Russia. There seem to be a lot of people in Russia. Web link. I hate it when people criticizing Russia all commit suicide in the same exact way. Yeah, at least have a bit more creativity with your suicide. Yeah, like maybe 4 bullets to the back of the head would be a valid suicide. What is suicide? Going for skill points now. Like South African jails in the 1970s Biko apartheid era. So many commit suicide by falling down the stairs, out the window, slipping on the soap in the shower, etc., etc. But you're from Cincinnati. He lives in Russia. Read his bio. Guy from Cincinnati in Russia. So many questions and all without answers. Shh. Cincinnati greatest country, okay? Welcome to Mother Ohio. Go get some Skyline. Goddamn, I miss that stuff. Get it too. Just letting you know, if you mean protesters, Protestants are a Christian denomination. Different thing. Don't go outside, honey, there are Protestants out there. Things you hear in Northern Ireland. For 100 Alex. R.I.P. that legendary man. Damn English. Hey, I mean that's still good advice. Do you have a moment to talk about our Lord and Savior? Nobody expects the Protestant Reformation. Protestant did come from the word protest, to be frank. 6 princes of the and rulers of 14, who issued, or dissent, against the Edict of the, were the first individuals to be called Protestants. Web link. So kind of like how the Quakers are called Quakers because they ate lots of oatmeal? So you moved from Cincinnati to Russia? I am always surprised to see a fellow Cincinnatian. Yes, I was born and raised in Cincinnati, but it's pretty boring here, and I made the right decision by choosing Russia as my place of residence. I like the noise and din, but I still miss my hometown. I was born in Russia, but don't live there anymore. It's a tough situation because even if the people understand that it's wrong, all that's going on, decades of being oppressed and punished for everything made the people very apathetic. Don't get me wrong though, apathy doesn't mean weak, but more like save the energy to take care of yourself, fight to survive daily. The people will only fight/protest if someone came to their house and was hurting their family directly, but to actually get involved, many people think that there is no point, so the purpose of life is just to survive with you and your family. The younger generation sees the global view and the benefit to protest and wants change, but it's tough, because the culture to rebel against someone and to defend someone who you don't personally know is not a thing in the Russian mindset. But that's why it's run by a dictator. The people know that it's all rigged, some don't, but it's hard to care about politics when you have a family to feed. And yes, in a democracy, general life stability is directly linked to stable politics, but Russians have never seen that, so it's all a crap show. My grandma literally goes to vote because they give her 400 rubles, which is only like $5 and can buy her some butter and bread, if she does and she's happy with the kind government. But the fact is, pensions get cut and haven't really risen since like 15 years ago, but the prices of things are skyrocketing. The mentality is take what you are given and be happy and thankful that you got anything at all, don't complain. I think in this situation, it's tough because Putin is a literal dictator, and how do you tell a dictator what to do? You don't. The power of the vote and the people don't matter to him and his regime. He still holds voting days, but they're rigged, but it's proof that he runs a democracy. Dictators, by way of history, just have to be overturned forcefully. Look at North Korea. We all know what's up, but who's doing anything? No one, because it would mean World War III. But, most important is to stay informed, stay vigilant and look out for opportunities to help, if they present themselves. Thanks for your response. The hopelessness of changing anything seems to be the most consistent thing I've read/heard. Can you elaborate a little on how the elections are rigged? You mentioned your grandma gets paid to vote. Is it only if she votes for Putin? It's less the hopelessness, but more the complexity of understanding why something is happening and how to best approach it for actual change. The anger towards Putin is brewing, so change will eventually come. But unfortunately, actual change is hard in situations like these, but I'm an idealist, so I think it's fully possible, just not easy. As for the elections, it's actually quite funny in a satirical sort of way. The people that run for office all basically have to be approved by Putin and he gets to personally choose who won what. A perfect example of this just happened recently in September. A city in Russia, Khabarovsk, held elections for their mayor. By some miraculous freak event, the person who the citizens of that city actually voted for, Sergei Fergal, was officially announced as the winner. It was not the guy who Putin liked. Now, I don't know exactly how the oversight happened in the first place, but as soon as Putin got wind of the situation, he put the guy in jail. The citizens of the city got very angry and protested, but nothing changed. There is a lot of info about Russian elections to read up on. As for my grandma, she can vote for whoever she wants, but as other people have mentioned on this thread, the propaganda is so intense that they know absolutely nothing about any of the other people that are running. And even if they did vote for anyone else but Putin or his approved henchmen, it wouldn't matter anyway. I just think it's hard for people to understand how messed up it really is. There is no due process, everything is completely controlled by the dictator state. Putin had a critic of his, Navalny, poisoned and now jailed. Navalny proved with the help of foreign intelligence that his poisoning was ordered by Putin and most people are still in apathy. These protests that are happening are in reaction to Navalny's jailing. But many people are staying out of it. When you grow up barely surviving, it's hard to care about nationwide political events. And the danger is very real, they can easily get killed by the police if they go out and protest and no one would say anything about it. Thanks for more insight. I'm going to Google that mayoral election right now. No problem, thanks for the interest to know. Happy Googling. What's the internet/surveillance like there in Russia? I just watched a Vice video on the Uyghurs in China, 2 women go undercover. Wild. Cameras everywhere. Police everywhere. Assume it's similar but not as extreme as the Chinese. Also sometimes official will just prevent candidates from the opposition to run for office. It happened to Navalny in the 2018 presidential elections. It also happened in the last mayoral elections in Moscow. Most of the times the official motive is some technicality. Like the candidate missed some deadlines, incorrectly filed a document. Basically there's an official opposition controlled and allowed by Putin to give appearance of a choice, communists and the LDPR, which is a far-right party. When you grow up barely surviving, it's hard to care about nationwide political events. It sounds like this is what some leaders in the US are trying to make happen there. When you grow up barely surviving, it's hard to care about nationwide political events. And the danger is very real, they can easily get killed by the police if they go out and protest and no one would say anything about it. This is what hits me. I feel like the Russian people are exactly the same as us Americans. But without the freedom to complain about it. Or really even do something about it. It's like a lose-lose situations. It's why I am a massive proponent of free speech and democracy. I do not want the USA to enter a situation like in Russia where one leader or party can just hijack the government and the whole nation's state of affairs. Op's point about apathy is spot on, that's how it could happen in the USA. Thanks for sharing this. Not the author of the comment, but just to add a bit of info about elections. A family friend works as a teacher in a government-funded school. She told us, and I fully believe her words, that during elections they are directly instructed who to vote for, and must submit photo proof. Yes, literally take a picture of their voting bill. If they don't, or if they vote wrong, they will get pay cuts, and most definitely some other punishment. She works in a really high-end school, like worth mentioning on your CV, because it will be recognized by potential employers. Geez. That's insane. It's less rigged in a literal sense. It's more so that pretty much every single second on a TV you have propaganda people spouting BS. And older people just eat it, no questions asked. But moreover, if Putin goes away there is no guarantee someone better will come. A lot of people have their life somewhat adapted to the government. They have their salary, their apartments, don't get me wrong, and a lot of people in big cities are actually doing quite well as well. And there is a lot of unknowns about it. Russian have seen what happened after USSR dissolved in 1991, and pretty much everyone is in agreement that the next 10 years were pretty much one of the worst in history. So no one wants to return to that time, but Putin is also a piece of crap. So what do you do? I am Chinese, but I see the exact same apathy you speak of in our citizens. Such a shame that we live in a tyranny. Thank you for sharing. Oof, same, from the Philippines. Things are generally crafty, and we have a law that basically allows the military to accuse anyone of being terrorists without any basis. Same here in India, the largest democracy in the world. We have law called the SPA, Armed Forces Special Powers Act. Once enforced in a state, it gives armed forces the power to shoot to kill, after giving due warning. They can arrest and detain anyone without any warrant. Army officers even had legal immunity for their actions under this law up until 2016, when the respected Supreme Court of India ended this immunity. UN and many countries have criticized this law. There have been many known instances of the misuse of this act. Army maintains that they need the cover of this law to fight insurgency, but ironically this law was originally drawn by Britishers to curb Indian freedom movement in 1942. Eventually, every group of people is going to have its own waking up moment. The West spilled a lot of blood and got very lucky with some pretty decent answers, and those who followed in earnest like Japan and South Korea were able to join in, but if throwing infinite money and resources at the Middle East has taught us anything, it's that crap ain't going to change until the people feel it has too. Let's just hope that that change isn't an even worse monster, as we see in Africa over and over again. I'm from Russia, lived in America since 4 years old and 31 now, and fully agree with what this person said. It's hard to change the mentality of a lot of people in Russia. It's really enlightening to see so many people out on the streets protesting. But there could be so many more. They are truly oppressed and terrified. Soviet. It is not a thing in a Soviet mindset. All who did have a fight against the unfair and oppressive government in them were killed off, repeatedly, decade after decade. So, it left a serious psychological trauma on survivors and their children and grandchildren. This is how I feel. Thank you for sharing. Only answer to the protests our government is capable of is aggression. The government does not give a F about us, and law enforcement is following their orders. I wish for our entire government to die. Edit. Jesus Christ on a bicycle. Oh boy, did my bitching blow up. Thank you for your interest, opinions and condolences. Also thank you kind strangers for awards. Unfun fact, in 2019 Russia was top 1 country in the world by male suicides. You can guess that good psychologist/psychiatrist is a rare occurrence here. Edit 2. Wow, you guys just gave me 3,000 upvotes while I was typing Edit 1. Thank you for reading. I really need to improve my vocabulary. Edit 2.5. You know the crap is real when you get a wholesome award on a comment about regicide. Also please stop giving me awards. You definitely have a better place to give them. We literally lived through the same thing. I am from Serbia. Is it as cold as I imagine it is right now? Edit. Boy, was I thinking of the wrong place. Belgrade is a balmy 15 Celsius right now. Very pleasant for winter, I would say. Yes, it is. I was totally thinking of Siberia. Serbia is another country, not Siberia, the region in Russia. Could you give some examples on the propaganda in TVs and schools? TV usually ignores stuff like that until point where things get out of government hands. Most of channels started talking when government told them what to tell and just calling Navalny American agent. Older generations who were Putin supporters don't believe him as much as before but still don't trust Navalny as propaganda does its job really well. I'm from Crimea, so I'm Ukrainian but live under Russian government. Thank you for updates, as this is my first comment on Reddit 100. It's a lot for me. I'm really happy that someone is interested at how we live. I'm from Crimea, so I'm Ukrainian but live under Russian government. To sidetrack on the original topic, I'm assuming you don't want to be annexed by them? Did you vote in that referendum? How was it in the area at the time? Do you ever see it going back to Ukraine? And if not, what do you see as the future of Crimea/Ukrainians within Crimea? First, there was like 30% who voted for Russia, including my grandmother, because Crimean population is dominantly Russian-speaking. So people mainly watched Russian TV and some believed Russian propaganda. Nowadays most of people just accepted their faith and don't believe that we can go back to Ukraine. When we were Ukraine it was much better and stable as there was international trade, but because of sanctions no one from outside wants to trade with Crimea, so most of ship-related stuff at which Crimea depends now has no work. Nowadays most of people just accepted their faith and don't believe that we can go back to Ukraine. Yep, this is my guess. I know it is probably never happening either, and that internationally it isn't accepted as Russia, but shy of a war which would be a global and perhaps world-ending one, it won't go back. Sevastopol is too important a naval base for Russia for them to ever give Crimea back. The above comment seems like it's getting downvoted by bots. Yeah, it seems like that cause as I reload page every time upvotes are jumping. So do you guys get Russian citizenship or have the Ukrainian one? I have both Ukrainian and Russian passport, but Russian is accepted as real document only by Russia, Belarus and few more countries. Countries like USA, Britain and EU, so good countries, don't accept it. That is a case because occupants can't force occupied people to take their citizenship. So you would show your Russian passport in Russia but Ukrainian passport to the countries that do not recognize the annexation of Crimea. Would the Russian passport validity extend to the countries who recognize the occupation and annexation of Crimea? Exactly, it would. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.